Hello and thanks for dropping in. I'll save my personal introduction until the end of the video, so I'll just cut straight to the reason that you've almost certainly clicked on this video. Here is my take and reasoning for why I've just bought this retro-inspired Android flip phone, the Mode1 Retro II. This is a mobile phone from Japan. It's the successor to the original Mode1 Retro model, which was released back around 2017. This second and latest iteration on the original concept was first released in September of 2023, so it's still relatively new phone. There are a number of reasons as to why this particular phone will or perhaps won't suit certain people, but the following is my take on why I have decided that it will suit myself and my needs. While I get this thing unboxed, unpacked, here's a few technical specs about the Mode1 Retro II. Okay, so first up, here's a little bit about why I believe that a phone like this may actually really appeal to a particular kind of audience, even in the year of 2024. Firstly, there's the obvious nostalgic appeal of phones that were popular around the late 90s and into the first decade of the 2000s. Flip phones came in a variety of designs, with some of my fondest memories being of some of those Ericsson mobile phones from this era. T28S was a personal favourite for a while, as was the Sony Ericsson P900, which was a later model that was an early example of a fully featured touchscreen phone of the time, which also still included a flip-up alpha numeric pad. For me, this is probably a better example of where I feel a phone like this Mode1 Retro II would fit me and my personal balanced needs from a phone in today's ever-demanding tech-infused environment. And it's actually a more deliberate plan than you might first think. For as much as modern, large-sized, fully featured touchscreen phones have become amazingly capable throughout the last decade or so, such as my Galaxy Ultra here, I can't help but admit to a negative side effect that I feel has evolved with it. More than ever, our phones have gradually replaced so many other devices for many of us, including cameras, gaming devices, music players, and even an entire office suite and the subsequent replacement of an entire personal computer in many cases. Whilst I accept that this all sounds fantastic on the surface, it can't be ignored that this has also introduced an element of what I will call an addiction to convenience. An obvious example that we all see every day are people glued to their phones practically everywhere they go, whether this be in social environments, out in public, or even just wasting hours on the couch or in bed at home, doom scrolling with no intended destination whatsoever. Another negative consequence of the convenience factor that I mentioned is that I feel that we, or at the very least what I will admit to, is that this instant and unbridled access to what we've gradually become accustomed to has reduced the appreciation towards some of those other services and activities that we now take for granted. So much so to the point where we've become jaded with what were once previously enjoyable hobbies and activities. Watching a movie, playing a video game, even listening to music was once an event in many cases. Today, it's all but a screen tap away for all of these things. Now, I'm not saying that we should necessarily try to eliminate this convenience completely, but I do feel that there is a better balance that can be achieved. So, with all that out of the way, let's take a closer look at the Mode1 Retro II mobile phone. So while we just wait for this to boot up, this is the first time. From the outside, it's a rather elegant looking device actually. It does appear to be more or less made largely from plastic, which for the price point of around 30,000 Japanese yen or around 200 US dollars isn't too much of a surprise. That said, it does appear to be quite solid and well made. There are two available colour options, this being the faux black leather with the red stitching detail, and there's also white with, again, the same red stitching detail. Both colour options are built around this golden copperish body, which also includes this stylish and feature-filled backlit keypad. Whilst on the topic of the keypad, I was initially concerned that the keypad might be difficult to see in certain light, which is how it may appear in this video, just as it did in others that I had watched before going ahead and buying my own. But I can happily confirm that it isn't a problem being able to see it in person. It's actually very readable. The buttons themselves seem sturdy, with a satisfying but not obnoxiously loud click upon being pressed. On the side, we've got our up and down volume buttons, as well as this fingerprint sensor, which I still need to set it up this time around. I've just done a factory reset, but it actually is very, very fast. I would say no slower than the Galaxy Ultra that I showed earlier. So I'll demonstrate that in just a moment. So let's actually get the fingerprint set up right now. There we go. So now that the fingerprint sensor is set up, let's just test that quickly. So finger off the sensor, ready for the pin that I put in just a moment ago. Thumb on the sensor, straight away we're in, like so. Bang. Bang. Straight away. So absolutely no problems there whatsoever. It's actually very, very responsive. And while we're at it, you would have noticed we've got the exterior second screen. There are, I believe, 3 different options for what this screen can display, different configurations of time, battery, and a number of notifications, and including, you'll notice there's a flashing coloured LED there. It's green at the moment. I believe there's also red, possibly blue, and it times out after a certain moment. There it is again. The other side of the phone is where you'll find the SIM card tray, which actually provides a few handy options. It's a dual card slot, which allows for either 2 SIM cards or a single SIM card, which can then be paired with a micro SD card, which, as per the specs earlier, has an accepted capacity of up to 1 terabyte. So that should be more than enough for the average user. The bottom of the phone is where the USB-C port is located, and the loudspeaker. I don't believe, from any of the readings that I have found, I don't believe that there's any official sort of dust or weathering protection for this device, so I would be more careful than the Galaxy Ultra, which is sealed in practically every way, including the case, which is pretty extreme. But this is definitely not a rugged phone. It's something you'll want to be careful with. Whilst I really would have liked wireless charging to have been a feature of this phone, it sadly doesn't appear to be present. Not that I was necessarily expecting it. Hopefully this is a feature that we can hope to see in a future revision of this model. Apart from any of the old Nokia phones that featured the old single pin style charging connector from years ago, any other phone that I've ever owned with a USB charging port, be it mini, micro, and now USB-C, if used for long enough, it's almost guaranteed to eventually wear out and become weak or wobbly over time. Flipping the phone open is solid and snappy. Doesn't feel tacky. The flipping mechanism itself doesn't feel weak or floppy. But only time will tell to see exactly how well that does hold up over time. It's got these little bumpers, as you can see just on the bottom of the chin here, which I assume are to stop the buttons from making contact with the screen, even though the buttons are very shallow, almost perfectly flat with the body. I imagine those little bumpers just eliminate any chance of those buttons contacting the screen, leaving marks, but also giving a little bit of leeway for any pocket lint or little grit that might get in between. Gives it that little bit of chance of helping to protect the screen. It may be difficult to see, but it also appears to have a screen protector of some sort installed over the glass. I imagine probably just a thin screen protector. You can just see around the camera cutout. It's got a slight ridge where you can see it. As I already removed the where was it? The initial piece of screen protector that came with the phone. I'm going to assume that this is intended to be left on. At the very least, it doesn't look like it interferes with the screen, so I will just leave it there for now. As stated, I'm purposely going out of my way to not have a phone that is too inviting to have hours of time wasted on it. The sound quality is sufficient enough to communicate what it needs to, but for anything more than some casual entertainment, the limited audio performance will actually encourage me to consume and arguably better enjoy any worthwhile media on an appropriately more capable music system or larger screen for video content, such as a computer or television. For all general tasks and casual entertainment though, I'm sure that the audio and visual capabilities of this phone will be more than sufficient. Now, again, I can see through looking at the viewfinder that the screen does look a bit washed out in this particular video. I'm only using a webcam here, and it's not at all capturing the true representation of what this screen looks like. And I can assure you that the colours are indeed uh, more than pleasant. So no drums there whatsoever. When paired to my Sony Bluetooth headphones, I can confirm that the sound, despite this sounding a bit tinny from the speaker, it is just as good via the headphones as it is with my other phone or any other device. For music, podcasts, and such, there is absolutely no noticeable compromise there. Perfectly fine with that. So don't be fooled. The Mode1 Retro II is still largely a fully featured smartphone. It features a 48 megapixel rear camera, as well as a 13 megapixel front facing camera up here. Again, the quality will be more than sufficient for general photography, casual videos, video calling, and such, but certainly don't be expecting results to be on par with the latest iPhone or Galaxy phones. But again, this is where I'll return to the argument of the limited performance of such features as being significant enough for most tasks, but reason enough to break out my Nikon cameras for when I want to shoot anything worthy of higher quality, be that stills or video. Now there is, instinctively, I guess this is something I'll get used to, handling the camera in your mind, just because you're so used to it with other phones, you feel as though the lens would be up here, but it is on the body. So you're aiming with the body, not on the screen. So if you're using the screen as your viewfinder, which you would be, you're looking at it at a slight angle to see what you're shooting. But I'm sure that that's something that I will get used to very quickly. No dramas there at all. I will include a little insert here of some video that I've shot outside during the day, and some late night photography. I'll do some stills also, just so you can get an accurate idea of how this is actually going to perform in different environments. So again, I wouldn't be expecting the world of it, but for general note taking, which is where I might use the camera at work for certain things, a couple of little snaps when you're out and about, it will be more than sufficient. But for any real work, I don't believe that I would be using this, but I might be pleasantly surprised. We'll wait and see. A quick look around the interface and app menu shows that all of the expected tools are present. Again, this is full Android. Bluetooth, GPS, it's even got Wi-Fi hotspot. And for those curious, it does have a torch, which is the camera flash, the LED. So that's great. That was something that I wasn't too sure about when I was first looking at this phone. So it's nice to see that that is present. And we even have an FM radio. So I guess there's an extra point for this phone over the Galaxy that doesn't have an FM radio at all. If we go into the settings quickly, we will find the much appreciated dark mode, which is just standard for adaptive brightness. Enable that. There we go. And dark theme. Much better. There we go. It is true that there are other Android-powered flip phones around, but most, if not all, that I've seen run on the lower powered and more limited version of Android called Android Go. These options may still suit many people looking for that more balanced digital diet that I mentioned earlier, or a limited digital detox of sorts. In my case, there were apps that I still needed for work purposes and such that simply weren't available on the Android Go platform. I accept that there are workarounds in being able to run many full version apps under Android Go, but for as much as I want to limit distractions in my mobile life, I'm also not looking to introduce a whole new set of hurdles and potential incompatibilities by doing that sort of halfway mode. So overall, you'll see that the Mode1 Retro II is still very much a modern day smartphone. It's just a little less in some ways, which in my opinion makes it a little more special. The physical keypad is a nice addition. Each person will obviously have a different opinion of this, and perhaps that will depend on one's age and how far their mobile phone experiences date back to. To me though, it's more than just a novelty throwback. I appreciate the tactile nature of being able to input commands via physical buttons. I always have. And for anyone old enough to remember phones before touchscreens, the ability to write an entire paragraph without even looking at the screen, aided by nothing more than the muscle memory of an alphanumeric keypad, there was a precision and reliability that I still can't achieve with even the latest flagship touchscreen mobile phone. Regarding this, the T9 input, which is the shortcut mode of inputting text via the keypad, isn't available from first boot. A downloadable keyboard is readily available, however, via the Google Store, so I will quickly install that now. Okay, so to demonstrate the T9, what have we got? Oh, still what we can see. Christmas. Whereas the old method would be to individually tap each time to get the letter that you're looking for. So if you want A, you'd press 2 once. If you want the letter B, you'd press 2 twice, so on and so forth. That was the old method of inputting via the keypad. So when the T9 basically autofill kind of dictionary came along for these style of keypads, it was a great time saver. And I reckon if I familiarise myself with this again, I probably wouldn't be that far off at all from the kind of speed you can achieve with a modern touchscreen smartphone, and perhaps even quicker. Wait and see. Okay, so this review, if you will, may have actually turned out to be a little more in depth than I originally planned out, but I hope that I've covered any major points of interest that other prospective buyers may have been curious about. At the very least, I've certainly addressed a number of questions that I first had before finally deciding to buy this phone. Until me recording this now, as far as I'm aware, this will be the first English review, as everything else so far has been Japanese, and I think I might have seen maybe a Spanish review. So nothing of great help to me. My Japanese is extremely limited, so hopefully an English review here might assist those who are curious about this device. Now, I may record a follow-up review after I've had some time, some worthwhile time with this phone, perhaps a few months. So if you've got any questions about anything that I didn't cover in this video, please leave a comment below and I will do my best to respond to them. Now, not every video I make in the future is necessarily going to be a political or social commentary like this one sort of touched on, but I felt that this particular device was deserving of a well-considered opinion, or at least my opinion, as to why it makes sense to me and why it might be a more suitable option for a modern day phone alternative that many people may not have considered. Does it feature the latest and greatest in features when compared to the latest iPhones and Androids? No. But as I hope I've expressed carefully, this is exactly why I've ultimately chosen to make this my next phone. So let's see how that pans out. And before I finish, I thought that I might give a quick rundown on what this new YouTube channel is going to be about. As per the channel name, McKey to Happiness, it's not just a pun in regards to my name, but the intention is for this channel to be a casual insight into things that I like or find interesting. I don't currently have any definitive theme or direction other than what I already mentioned. So whilst this video is basically a review about a mobile phone, the next video could be about a piece of music, a movie, a random knick-knack that resides on my desk, one of my bicycles, who knows. So if random musings are what you're interested in, feel free to drop by to see what else I might feel the need to bang on about next. So until next time, let's hope that the Mode1 Retro II was the right choice for me and my mobile phone needs.